I want to holler at y'all about the Diddy trial and Black Outrage, part six, pretty much. The situation is, his trial is over, and so now we're just trying to figure out, was it a scam? It seemed like to me it really was a scam because you basically protecting all these other people who are criminals and people who helped activate his operation, even though it was a private operation. It was just him and his girlfriends. They made it seem like it was such a salacious situation where he was actually, you know, I guess you can call what they call it, trafficking these people. But actually, after 2 months, 3 months of trial, we feel like we realized that no, he wasn't. These people was making decisions on their own, and they wanted to do what they wanted to do. And while he was rich, and while they might have been doing it for his edification, at the end of the day, it was their own choices to do and come and go as they please. But all of the media and all these fake news people was trying to throw the black dude under the bus. And whether he's bad in other situations or other business dealings or stuff like that, they didn't really have a case on the guy in this regard, in this position, in this situation. So to me, it just looked like a whole bunch of hoopla that they was just spewing out. But obviously, he did get convicted for certain levels of it, but it wasn't for the most egregious stuff that they were saying about him, which would have got him mad time. You know what I'm saying? But he had some real lawyers. And now that this stuff is over, a lot more information is coming out about him and those people who he was involved in. And that's something else that we learn in life. Was Diddy actually involved with these people, or were they actually doing stuff on their own accord? And they really was. I mean, it's just people grown, they do what the hell they want to do. But to just kind of throw the brother under the bus like nobody did nothing but him, obviously that's not going to hold water. Nobody said Diddy was perfect. Hell, I don't think nobody perfect. I think everybody got something going on with them that if you knew about it, you would be like, what the hell? And that's private, you know what I'm saying? But he had chose some females that were snakes. And you see that when they had a chance to bite, they did. And they did as much wicked, wild, foul shit that they could do. And then gonna pop out the woodwork and just start think they're gonna sue the guy. And then here come the government to support all the bullshit that they was on. Just to find out that they was wrong. And they was liars. You know what I'm saying? And but there's no conviction for them. And it's actually one guy who was actually trying to get his suit going in for Cassie, and his lawyer wouldn't put the shit in. Could you imagine that? You one of the people who trying to say, hey man, I know that Cassie calling Diddy out, but this girl was actually the one who paid me, and she was asking me to do this. He said the girl gave him chlamydia. So this girl could give somebody chlamydia during a sex act. This guy's claiming, and nobody gonna lock him up. They could just walk away and say it's okay. It's like, wait a minute, huh? But Diddy goes down, he go down, and everybody get to learn all this negative stuff about him and everything. So it's really just a way to just castigate a black man and put him way beneath the ground, even though we know other people do just as much worse stuff, if not worse, and don't never get found out and don't never get busted out and definitely don't get embarrassed in front of the whole world, in front of media like that. It's a siphon. They was trying to get money out of Diddy, and there was only one way to do it. They had to get to the people that was close to him, whoever the people was. You know, they was trying to, he had accumulated money for 30-some years. So now you got people that's going to be around you who do not like your ass. And as soon as they get a chance, they're going to strike. And that's exactly what they did. But they had to go through those females because he had to trust somebody. You're going to trust somebody in life. And that's who he trusted. And I'm talking about complete snakes. Those bros get away with everything that they did and everything that they was a part of doing, all because Diddy had trusted them. And imagine when the suit come down. Imagine when they start suing and all of the money that he got to pay the lawyers and all the money he got to pay, because all they needed was one conviction. All they needed was one conviction, just one time for him to have a conviction on that. And then that's it. It don't matter if he got convicted of the highest level of the RICO or if he got convicted of his transportation. And he got convicted of transporting the men. But by the accord, the account of the testimony from Cassie and witness number one, both of those females paid the guys and in cahoots with the guys and communication with the guys. And Diddy kind of played the background. He kind of played the backfield. So they get absolved though. They don't get nothing going on with them. And that's just another step towards the racism that they was trying to perpetuate towards Diddy. That's why it should be black outrage because of that. You got somebody like him who's built an empire over 3 decades, and he could get taken down by two non-black females because they feel like it's time for him to go down. But then when you go get non-black other humans who listen to the stories, you talking about 8 white people that was on that or maybe I think it was like 5 white people, 4 black, 2 Hispanics, and 1 Asian. You know, it made up of all humans in America in that particular place from New York, and they all agreed that those women was lying and that they was in cahoots with that. So then, why would he still be in jail behind that? Okay, yeah, they remand you when you get convicted of a crime, but obviously, he's a multi-billionaire with a whole lot of stuff to handle and a whole lot of businesses to get going and keep afloat. But he's been found guilty on the lesser charges, and they still won't let him out of jail. Even though the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch went and did the same thing, had the same kind of crime. He's older than Diddy, but they let him out. $5-10 million bond. And so you can see that it's like a big old sham, a big old scam that they wanted to do to get money from a black dude and rob him blind because there was nobody who gonna protect him, who gonna stand on his side and say, yo, this ain't right. I mean, they have also many media out personalities and then fake YouTube media personalities. Even those people is fake because just because you work for some goofy corporation, that don't mean you got validity in what you're saying. That don't mean that gives you some kind of righteous conversation because you got some corporation that hired you at some stupid interview. Who gives a damn? It's many people who probably got way more information than just you reading the damn news from the AP, which is some racist state, which is a racist place anyway. So I'm not torn by what the conviction said. I looked at it just like they did. They came to him with the Mann Act. It's only been 3 or 4 times where that act has been used against people, and 3 out of the 4 has been a black person. So it's like that lets you know, and I'm talking about in 100 years. That lets you know what they really trying to project out there, putting that on somebody like Diddy. But I do also think that in some kind of way, I felt like the prosecution was going light. They charged him with a crime that was over the top, but they didn't know. They made sure the media didn't speak on that because they didn't really want him to go to prison. They just wanted to check him. They wanted to know that they know what you on, and them ain't black women. Those are not black girls. So those girls are protected by their culture. They're protected by American culture and American standards. You don't get to just utilize them and do what you want to do. Elvis Presley was married to a 14-year-old girl. You never even heard about that. They don't put that on TV. They don't interview her and say, how old were you? She actually had a career when I got older. She was like in Naked Gun movies when I was grown. And that was the girl they kept saying was his wife when I was, obviously before my time. But this is what you learn as you start gaining more consciousness and awareness that somebody like Diddy, who probably thought he slipped through, he was like, okay, I went to school, I got me a little education behind me, I got in the business, I started an intern. Anything that anybody would do would assume that would be a success story. I made contract deals, I got around these folks, I sat in a room with them, a room full of sharks, like Jay-Z was saying, and the deals went through, everybody got paid, I got paid, everybody got paid. Then you just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So now years that went by, he didn't got so many white people paid, it ain't real. But what has Diddy done? Has he built like some kind of corporation in the neighborhoods where everybody can go there and get jobs in the 50 states that black people are in? Did he build some kind of product that everybody can utilize in a black culture and we can get money from that and help us build our neighborhoods and build our personalities or build our families? No. He just basically made a bunch of white people money by being involved with them and being connected to their productions and their processes. However, he didn't allow that to stop him from becoming somebody who he became. What's up, Selena? But you can see that sympathy that we have for him was more of the sympathy because of how we felt about him. Like that's somebody that we saw rise from nothing. And then he can just get taken down like somebody wearing their pants sagging in the hood, and 3 girls say, yeah, get him. And here come the cops, grab you up, lock you up. He got $1 billion. You mean to tell me 2 little bust downs who could say something about you can get you held held behind bars with $1 billion fucking dollars? Those girls are bust downs. It don't matter how nobody think that's disrespectful. They know who the fuck they are. Who you know that they get on the stand and say that they was intimate with some damn strippers or some damn exotic dancers or whatever the hell you call them guys. That's not some normal shit that females do. And any girl that does that is going to be looked upon the same way no matter what her fucking race is. You a nasty bum. And he shouldn't go down for your damn decisions. You know what I'm saying? I hope you're enjoying your day, bro. I hope you are too. The reality of it is that it should be black outrage because there is no escape. No black person can make it in America and succeed without there being some kind of jurisprudence happening towards you. You got a little young boy like Lil Durk. He's probably, 32, 35, something like that, very young. Then you got somebody middle-aged, my age, P. Diddy. He's 50, 55 years old. Then you got somebody that's old school, older than my parents, like Bill Cosby. All three of them got the same results. All three of them, no success story. Nothing caring about how you made it from nothing. Nobody cares about that you came up from the bottom of the ground and you was able to use your art or your talent to catapult your life, and then money came from your talent and your going out to these dates and time all night long. You up in the studio all night long. You traveling to those different locations to build these brands, and it finally worked. And then you successful, and then they say, oh yeah, I forgot, you didn't do no jail time, so it's time for you to go to jail for 2 or 3 years, and we'll talk about why. And now you stuck in there. Yeah, what about what Harvey Weinstein? He in jail. He didn't get slipped through. He slipped through long enough, but look how long he was able to be an executive, and I bet you he get 99% of the money he lost or made during the time he was a billionaire or getting paid. He didn't lose none of that shit. He's still gonna be rich as fuck when he get out of jail if they let him out. But he's another person who got convicted for his antics. You know, he didn't have the right lawyers to help him get through that, because a lot of the stuff that they said he was doing, they could prove it. With Diddy, there was no proof. The women who actually was the ones who was making the accusations against him came in there and impeached themselves. They spoke on their own accord. Nobody gave them a booklet or a teleprompter. They spoke what they felt like. And those English words that they used ultimately resulted in the fact that they were snakes. They really was the people who were perpetuating a lot of this stuff. And what guy would tell this girl not to be kinky or not to be freaky? That's not necessarily going to happen normally. It might be a few dudes that'll be like, hey, babe, calm down. But on the most part, a guy going to be excited as well and be like, oh my God, what? So this is a part of the personal relationship dynamics. It don't matter what Diddy did with them girls. It don't matter what he do with somebody who he like. I mean, who the fuck cares about shit like that? If you're in love or like somebody and y'all both agree and y'all both over 21, it's not no conversation about what you do. It's your choice. But the reality of it is, if you're black, you're going to get your ass locked up. Dylan Little said, but it was Mel that it happened also against him. Okay, I can't really understand my man's statement on that, but RH said, my brother is today. My brother is today. He's a sub in China. Please shout out to Gabe Owners turning 40 today. Okay, I don't even know my man saying on that, man. You sound kind of weird. Yo, but anyway, man, but I don't know what's going on with Diddy, but I will say that it should be black outrage for how they played that, because where is the success from getting black people where we want to be? You know, it's like we're not able to get that kind of success story like the white guys do. At least if you get in some trouble, you get to go home. Then he got 7 kids. He ain't even able to spend 5 minutes with them in months, all because of these fake accusations that didn't even come out as accurate. Hey, RH, relax, bro, because it feel like you're trying to give me a demand. I don't like people like that. So slide, all right? You go give your brother what you asking for. Don't tell me what to do, my dude. Sayon, what's good? People were allegedly drugged without their consent. Y'all gotta start writing correct, because I ain't gonna be reading all that broken conversations. Spell check that, my man. Dylan, so you don't have evidence that he did or didn't do it. Nobody got evidence, bro. At the end of the day, he got found not guilty by a jury of his peers, and that's all that matters. It don't matter what nobody say. And when you go in that courtroom, nobody's opinion matter no more. It all matters on what those people do. And if they say up here that you guilty, then my man, you guilty. We all know that is the American way. So we just got to deal with that shit and look at how it came down. But at the end of the day, I believe that it's a sham. It's a scam, because they're going to make sure that they'll be able to go and bust them over the head inside those rooms that they have, like, you know, when you sue somebody on the civil side. You know what I'm saying? Selena Ann says, so are you a supporter of Diddy? Essays, women at dragging their integrity and dignity to the ground. I'm a supporter of legal documentation saying he's not one of them people who you claiming. Selena, I think that you believe what media tell you, and you get the right to do that. But I have to believe that if he's found not guilty or nothing like that, that's exactly who he is, a now guilty person. So it don't matter. You can believe what you want to believe. But at the end of the day, Everybody can believe what they want to believe because it's your life. It's your choice. But I will say this. I think that he is a person that should have had the fair chance to speak his truth and get out there and say what he feel like was the best thing for him and to do, because those people were adults. Just like anybody watching on this thing right here, you're adults. So if you choose to do something, whether you like it after the fact or not, you still chose to do it. And that's what adults get to do. See, only if you're a kid, you don't get to do what you want to do. So you got to actually believe in what you do. Otherwise, it don't matter. Eric said, Diddy don't pay my bills. I swear to God, he don't pay mine either. I don't think he paid nobody bills but the girls who he was actually in cahoots with, who they said he was paying their bills. He said he was paying $100, no, $10,000 a month for somebody who was actually in court. Now, I wouldn't care what they claimed he was. Ain't too many people gonna be in there paying somebody's rent that's trying to get you convicted of a crime. You can call it SA, you can call it MA, you can call it PP, Lili. It don't matter what you call it. If a person trying to get you locked up, it's gonna be bad. And if you got the wherewithal to pay their rent, you gonna be calling your financial people saying, stop paying her rent. Yeah, Prada, you know who it was. You gonna say, stop paying her rent. I'm not gonna pay her rent. Imagine how much money that is to pay somebody rent, $10,000 a month, and they come to court to get you locked up. I bet his lawyer said, don't stop paying it. Keep paying it, because we don't want the prosecution to say nothing about that. But as soon as you win this case, cut her damn money. You don't pay nobody rent that's trying to get you thrown in jail. And imagine what jail is. And I ain't saying Diddy is actually not a bad person for some of the stuff that he did, because those are people too. Those people who he was around in a dominant regard, those are people too. And they felt like they was doing stuff to stay in cahoots with him. But you also have to use discretion. You have to use intelligence. You can't just use stupidity and then think everybody gonna give you some understanding. That's not how it's supposed to be, because you definitely don't be walking your butt in traffic. Don't nobody got to tell you that every day. You don't put your head on fire. You don't dig your finger inside sockets when you know it's electrical shocks that can kill you. You don't do that. So what would somebody have to keep telling you that if this person's treating you bad, you should get away from them? Why somebody got to keep telling you if this person is doing wrong things to you that you shouldn't stand close to them? You should. I don't care if they feeding you or paying your rent. You got to have self-respect. And those people inside the courtrooms, they couldn't do that. They couldn't do that. They couldn't make them women have self-respect. Those people in that courtroom that was the jury, they can only judge you. They could only judge your actions and judge what you said. And they sounded crazy. Because a lot of people will have more self-respect for themselves. A lot of people watching this video right now will have more hey, loud sloth, you ain't right. Look at that face. And look at my face. Look at that face. And look at my face. You be wilding out loud. I ain't gonna bother with you. You bogus. But that made me laugh. And Prada Gucci said, I would have stopped payment on the verdict was red. But me too. I would have stopped paying when the verdict was red, because that would have broke my heart seeing them girls up there doing that. I'd have been like, look at Shy Ray. I'm trying not to laugh at jokes on me, but if it's funny, it's funny. Yeah, so I think that it was a black outrage, because they're gonna end up trying to sue him. And there's a guy out there who tried to sue Cassie and get her caught up in a crime just like with Diddy. But the lawyer who's involved with that guy who was trying to charge Cassie for this particular crime, he said that the lawyer would never file the forms. So he's sitting up there contacting him like, yo, what's up? When is the court date? He's not getting back to him. But reality is this. He has other clients that's going to be suing Diddy if Diddy was found guilty in the civil suits. So he didn't want to put Cassie under the radar or bad, because they're going to be using Cassie as the victim in the civil suit cases. So if Cassie has a case against her and you actually are the lawyer who filed it, then that's going to say, well, that's a conflict of interest. You're basically trying to use Cassie to help you get these civil suits passed in case resolved with her as the witness and as the person that the reason why all these things happen. And here are all these clients that I got. So I'm not going to file nothing against Cassie because that's going to look bad. And so the guy was like he's making his rounds in the media right now because they wouldn't even bring him into the trial with Diddy. And the prosecution passed on bringing him up to the actual courtroom so that he can speak because obviously the defense would have been able to use him. And then he would have been able to speak against Cassie saying, yo, she actually was the one who paid me. She actually the one who did this. So it would have been a lot more where it would have been looking bad if they would have used that guy's testimony against Cassie. So he's still trying to sue Cassie to this day. He said Cassie gave him chlamydia. Whether this is true or not, who would know? I'm not in their life. I don't know them personally, but this is what the claim is. And so it's like really sad that she is actually gets to slip through after being a victim, after being a perpetrator. She's the one who paid. She's the one who reached out to these people. She's the one who initiated the sex. The guy actually said that the woman had made him intimate with her on her period. So this is his claim. He's coming to court and speaking out to the world saying that this girl made him do something to her on her period. And he said he knew it was like that because she spoke about it afterwards. In the trial, she said Diddy made her do it. And this is the guy sitting on the sideline like, why don't y'all let me talk? I was there. I was actually in the room. Diddy didn't tell her to do that. But they're not going to bring her to the trials like that. They're not going to prosecute her to that extent. So when you talk about it being a scam, it's stuff like that that's not right. Now, yeah, you could call Diddy down and make every claim against him because you had the experience. But somebody also can claim against you because they had the experience with you. But why are they hiding it? Why isn't there another case popping out right now? She just got $30 million. Why can't he file the forms against her? Where's the lawyer that's standing around saying, okay, let's make sure we put a form in against her because she actually was on the stand claiming that she did this, thus, and the further. They're not going to do that. That's why I say it's racist. That's why I say it's black outrage for that because, yeah, Diddy might be bad and all that stuff, but aside from that, he's not the only human that was involved in that case. He's not the only human that was involved in those situations. And if those people got immunity or if they got something where they can't be prosecuted in the future, then that just lets you know the scam is in. And they're going to get their money. They're going to get their money because he was convicted, whether whatever lawyer he get. The people get, they're going to easily go in there and get a conviction because they're going to be able to use the fact that that boy got convicted when he was up in that fight in that case. So they're going to get what they want. And that's where I look at Diddy saying it should be a situation where he has some vindication coming from another person who is not Diddy. Diddy has nothing to do with that guy's claim. And if he's claiming that against the old girl, then why can't he? Why is it their case? You know, so a lot of that stuff is like wishy-washy. You paying one person bills. You got this other person who got just as much of a claim towards being a victimizer as you, and they don't even get pulled into the game. They got you. She gonna sit back now and be like, "Hey, I just had a baby. That was perfect timing." So if she was able to pull it into something, wherever people was throwing her under the bus, they could easily look at it and say, she's a victim. Look at her. She's pregnant. It's a new family. Let her get out of this. So you could see the scam was in. You could see that what is going to go down now is a way to basically siphon money from Diddy. However, they may have asked him prior to all of this stuff and he didn't want to do it. Or maybe those girls' relationships with him was, not so good. So they was like, you know what, I'm going to come against you. Because how could a girl be getting her rent paid for the last 6 years and then she's in court now trying to get them locked up? It's really crazy, But it shows you who you could trust. You really can't trust nobody. You know what I'm saying? And they really wanted to take his stature and his hip hop legacy, his hip hop name. They wanted to make sure that was gone, so he don't have that no more. So Prodigal just said, I don't know what she said in court, but her lawyers are dirty because they're making it seem like he's a deviant when she was the one who was down with it, even when she said good things about him. And I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? So we all can conclude that Diddy has got some issues and he probably need help. And he probably was foul towards those people. Obviously, being a rich dude, he had the money, he had the power, he had the wherewithal to do those things. But then again, you're not absolved for your actual activity that you chose to be involved in. Contacting the guys, picking them up, paying them, telling them what to do at the moment, just directing the actions. All that stuff is critical. You can't, how you gonna walk away from being a person who was doing that? But then old boy going down for what his part is. It seemed disingenuous. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed disingenuous. And it also seemed like this could happen only to a black dude. Again, if Diddy would have stayed in his hood and just sold drugs and crack and just was been somebody from the block and never really took care of himself and made intellectual money and intellectual properties, maybe he would have just be regular dude, like just in, you know, nothing would be different. But the fact that he did make money, the fact that he did make a way, the fact that he did make millions of dollars for all kind of people, artists. He made millions of dollars for executives. He made millions of dollars for record companies. Then he flipped over and then made millions of dollars for alcohol companies. He made millions of dollars for clothing and wardrobe and Sean John, all that stuff. He politics. He did a whole campaign at one point about Democrats getting into office. So the whole idea is that this guy was putting in a lot of work, just so that they could turn around today and say you ain't shit. We're gonna take you down. And so that right there, man, is something kind of on the wicked side, and that's why I say it should be black outrage in regard to that, because that dude Diddy didn't do nothing to deserve that. You know what I'm saying? He didn't do nothing to deserve that. And those people should be out. They actually should be caught up on those crimes that they actually did. You know, they should be brought to justice at some level. You know what I'm saying? They should be not just being able to be complete victims and then coming up off of it because she got like $30 million or however many millions that she accumulated over that. Where now Diddy's still sitting in jail. And they got him in there for 90 days. So that means that after that conviction, he had to sit 90 days. Let's say it's been a week, 2 weeks. He got, 78 days left? You know what I'm saying? 84 days, whatever it is. I mean, this is before you get to go get your sentence, where they're going to also turn around and say more time. So he didn't win necessarily if he wanted to see his family, if he wanted to come home, if he wanted to be like, ooh, that was a tough moment. Let me get back to my life. It's like, nah, you didn't win. They still trying to push time on you. They still trying to make sure that you get a conviction that stands. Your legacy is gone forever because now you're a convicted felon who made it through, a convicted felon who succeeded, a convicted felon who just basically dated some girls outside his race and then kept a relationship long term. They say he was with Cassie for 17. No, he was 17 years in difference with them, but I think they did like 11 years together or something like that. Like a long stretch of time. Like a lot of times, if you dating a girl that long, a marriage has happened. You know, so for a female to be dating a guy for 11 years and not even demanding marriage, that's whack. That's whack thinking. That's not even normal. No woman does that. 11 fucking, come on. You be dating a girl 2 years and she'd be like, marry me or I'm leaving. So they had to have the government chime in, be on the side of them, and help them with this conviction, and help them push down the black guy who we had revered in the black race, a lot of us. There's things about him that people didn't like. There's things about him that people hated. People also thought that he was cheating his artists. So people didn't care for a lot of stuff that Diddy was doing because it was this rumor running for years. People thought he was gay. Was that true? Was it not? Who the hell would know? We don't really know him, but these are the things that were swirling in the hip-hop world for years about the guy. So now, is any of that stuff true? We don't know. Say they have assassinated his character in court and public events, so folks are calling him guilty for things that he's not even charged with. That's true, man. Yep, Serena said that one. That's true. Prada said Cassie was down with it too, but still calling him a POS is crazy. That's a fact. That's a fact right there. And then Prada said the mansion parties is a lot was going on back then. Yup. And then Empress L says, sorry, but Diddy screwed over lots of people way before this whole Cassie court case. That's true. That's a fact. He had that. There's he can't deny it. Nobody can deny that. That was already swirling. And Dylan Little said the rap world is the same way. Yep. It's a part of the game. And it's not just rap in any industry. I remember that girl who's like a singer. Y'all know who I'm talking about. She's super famous. She had to redo her damn album. You know what I'm saying? The one Kanye jumped on the stage with that day. Swift. You know what I'm saying? She had to do her whole album over because of the scamming that they do in the game. And she couldn't get the money and she couldn't buy her stuff back. It was just like, welcome to the industry. So it's like a part of how these things go. But Diddy definitely got scammed out of the money that he made because they found a way to do it. They found a way to get it out of him. First, he had to get friendly with these people and be up under him for a long term and long time so he get comfortable with them. And then all of a sudden they strike. And then that's okay if you strike and then you miss. Or if you were striking, it's just you. But when they struck, they had the government come in. The government didn't have nothing to do with that. They all popped up at the government and started raiding his crib. Then Little said, do you think Suge Knight did what he did? Of course Suge Knight did what he did. It's a video of it. You know what I'm saying? Prada Fendi's channel, Prada Gucci Fendi Chanel said it wasn't no fun charges. I swear to God, that was crazy what Diddy went through, man. That was crazy, because anybody else wouldn't be able to do it. But I think that he got in the back of his mind, I know I'm finna go back to a level of opulence that a lot of people just don't never understand. I'm super rich. I'm rich, rich, rich. People want to get this rich. You know, remember, Jay-Z tried to get that rich. He was not that rich. Diddy was already that rich. They probably slowed Diddy money down just so Jay could catch him, because Diddy was already doing all that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really horrible to see somebody could get taken down so bad. You know what I'm saying? So Prada Gucci Fendi Chanel says she should have been released on bail. There was no kid. Yeah, he should have. I agree. They could have gave him more of a American way, especially how many people he helped in the years and all that. But did you see none of them people came to his side? Play close attention to how none of the people came to Diddy's side. Diddy was up there by himself. All he had was his family. All he had was his loved ones. All he had was the people that loved him and stuck by his side and cared for him. Everybody else looked at him as a bum. Everybody else, whatever they said in white media, everybody took that shit and ran with it. There should be outrage for that alone. The media, who's done nothing but castigate black men for centuries, can say some stuff, and all these people could run with it. People who he would assume were his friends. There's no such thing as friends. That should teach all of us that lesson. There's no such thing as friends. All that stuff is made up. Say, Judge Mathis said it too. Kellen Moraine. No matter how much money you got, you still a ninja. Yep. Don't matter if Cassie was down or not. Executives watch for weakness, plan and plant, then execute when you're given too much money and power. Man, Kelly, you out here. You out with a brain. And that's a fact, because you wouldn't see that. You're not going to assume that the people around you is with some nefarious mindset or got some vindictiveness in them. They smiling, they drinking, they partying with you. But again, when you cut ties with people, when you move into another direction, you might mature yourself. You might be like, you know what, I'm tired of that. Let's go do something. We didn't get a chance to see if Diddy was telling them the whole time, stop, y'all up in my mansion freaking off like this. Nobody got a chance to see if Diddy was actually saying and claiming what they claimed against him. We only just took their position. And that's why in the court of law in America, the law of prudence, the law of the land, the rules is you're innocent until proven guilty. So we could take in the public opinion that he's guilty. Yeah, man, he gotta be. Yeah, man, you heard what he said? He said he did. That's crazy, man. Oh my God, I can't believe somebody got accused of that. But technically, he got accused of private, personal relationships with his girl. And that's not necessarily something you're gonna know. If you walk up to a food restaurant or walking down the street, you're not gonna look at somebody and say, he liked to get in booty, though. You wouldn't even know these people. Even if you said something like that, it would just be accusations and assumptions. You couldn't tell what somebody doing in a private relationship, in their life, if they on the sidewalk, even if they sit in the courtroom right in front of you. How would you be able to tell what they doing in their home with the door closed and the lights off? All of that stuff is made up and is fictions of our imagination. And in order to do that kind of humiliation ritual, he had to shut up and sit down and not speak. So you had to take him to the court of law, because anything he say, what's the rules? Anything he say, what's the rules? Can and will be used against you. And ain't nothing else you can say about that. So he had to be careful putting himself on the line with those prosecutors sitting there ready to ask him. They wouldn't have asked him about no Cassie and them. If he would have got up on that stand, they would not have asked him about no Cassie. They would have been asking him about business stuff. They would have been shocking him to be like answering like, whoa, was you involved with Marshall Johnson's dealings? And he like, wait a minute, how you even talking about that? It's supposed to be about this. Answer the question. You like, oh shit. You know, so it's real life that you can't get up there. You know what I'm saying? And the people will be asking you questions that you can't even answer or shouldn't even answer. So you have to sit back and just let all that play out in front of your face. And you know it's not going to be cool. It should be black outrage because of the fact that he has to sit up there and get smacked around like that in front of the country, all because he had all those dealings and contracts and people who had money involved with him and dealing with him. That's all because of that in the side. Yo, what's up, Shirley? What's good? And then Prada said, And Jaguar Wright sitting on those podcasts, line paint narratives. These things is big, man. See, the internet is something different than what we can all imagine. It's really like the entire world is going to see these things, but you can't really know that because you ain't in the end. You ain't the entire world. You know what I'm saying? But technically, this stuff is for the swirl to the whole world. At some point, it might not even be this month, might not be this year. It might be 15 years down the line, and all of this stuff that's planted on this computer is gonna swirl. And so she, even her, and that what's that other guy name? Was another dude up there named Gene Deal. They've been talking about Diddy since 2017, 2018. It's damn near 10 years. So now reverberation into the internet, everybody thinking and whirling. And then these people have private lives. It's not, as much as Diddy was on TV, as much as he was in front of cameras, as much as he was out there, they still got private lives. They still don't be out there. You don't wouldn't really know anything about them other than what they show you. I mean, I'm sure somebody be like, 3, 2, 1, go. With behind the camera. It's not like you really seeing them regular. You know what I mean? They're basically being in front of a video, and then we watching that playback. We watching the video playback. So it's really crazy how you see some of that stuff, and then we all making accusations and claims about these guys, and it's all media made. It's all basically they personalities. You know what I'm saying? But we making full throttle accusations and feelings about these people. It's almost like if Diddy walked up and was like, "Dang, I'm thirsty. Somebody got some water. Get out of here, you freak! I ain't giving you nothing. You heard what they said about you." And it's like, that's the TV. What the hell you care? I'm still thirsty. You know what I'm saying? You ain't getting from me. You better get on with from around here. And that's what people to think, because we all are in tune with the internet and with the media and television. We probably got some kind of personality or people who we listen to them and we believe what they saying. They're not lying. You know what I'm saying? Whoever they are, we be like, okay, yeah, now I know that person's telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? So all these things matter when you're talking about in our culture, as black culture, because a lot of people already got so much bad mindsets about us and feelings about us. I want y'all to hit the like button too, and definitely like and share this subject matter, because we definitely kicking in and talking. And I am reading y'all messages, so if you talk in the message or comment thing, we gonna read it. You know what I'm saying? Rainman J said constantly blaming random white dudes working at Jack in the Box. That was a good one. And then Empress L said, why didn't he take the stand when he was not allowed to? No, he was allowed. He could have, but it's a choice. Because again, the people are going to ask you questions that's going to be some, they're not going to just ask you that. They're going to ask you shit that's way off left field. They're going to ask you stuff that you don't want to know and you don't want to tell people. So not taking a stand, it might not even be about them two girls no more. It might be asking you about some business dealings. And then they'll be like, this is outside of the scope, Your Honor. And it's like, no, I'll allow it. And you were like, oh, shit, I got to actually answer this. And then remember, anything you say can be used against you. It's like, what they call it? Taking an oath. So if you basically lie under oath, and then it's like maybe they asked you about some business dealing, and then somebody who is involved with that business dealing heard your response and then say, that's not what he said to me. Okay, now you're getting sued from them in a whole nother direction because you actually said this in a court of law. And, you know, and now you got to go to court for that. And you got to go to court to be like, oh, you know, I actually said that. I was under the arrest. I was under the, oh, no, you said it in the court of law. That's under oath and blah, blah, blah. So it's like you don't want to do that, especially when you're somebody like him that's a billionaire who got 55 different business directions and 40,000 people who you in dealings with. You don't know who this lady that's the prosecution know or what they ultimate thing they trying to pry out of you. So you just be like, I ain't saying nothing. You can't ask me nothing, especially about these two bros and what they talking about. I ain't saying nothing. Talk to my lawyers. And the lawyers have to impeach their testimony, which means whatever they say, the lawyer got to be like, okay. But how the lawyers were able to impeach their testimonies was they was able to get the phone records. So when you texting people and all that stuff, they pay for them. The lawyers, they pay the people to send that to them. So now they can corroborate every date that you claiming. So when one of the girls said, yeah, he argued me, and then you look at her text and it's like you sent the text that morning or that later that night or whatever saying, I love you, you're my mentor, you're the best, you know, so what is that? You know, here's a post that you put up on Facebook saying that you love him, and you was looking like the woman was like in a photo like she was having a baby. And Diddy was like the person bringing the baby in. And she was like, I love you, my mentor. So it's like, you basically contradicting your statements. You're in here in the courtroom saying he argued you. But on your actual text that date, because we can just pull the records down, that's not what you were saying. So now that's the whole jury pool listening to that saying, now come on. And so this is where that changes the dynamic for. And so that's where you will see the people pulling the lies out of the people. You know what I'm saying? That's what the lawyer's all about. And somebody like Diddy, he's gonna have the best lawyers breathing. Listen to me. These lawyers already got a name. Forget rap, forget hip hop, forget media, forget television. Each individual lawyer who he chose has a name and a definition and a personality and a record that's stellar. And the fact that he could even get them to move away from their whole world of whatever they was doing to represent him, that's gonna look great in his motherfucking regard. So now they looking at him like, damn, you could get, like one of them was like Garagos, but it wasn't even him, it was his daughter. So now she on top of her game. She bringing up she next generation. So she ain't trying to get no losses. So that, because that's gonna mean her legacy of her father. So that means she gonna do every item of research, every kind of thing you could think of to make sure they win this case. Now you got the guy still who got old boy in the mouth in the YSL case in Atlanta. These guys is top-notch lawyers. They sitting there, they dissecting every element. He had one lawyer on there that was like a appellate lawyer. So she was an appellate judge. And so all her was just to sit in there and see how could they appeal this if he lost. So this is like real lawyers. And you got to pay for that. You got to pay for that. And it's crazy. Say now Jag sitting in a Houston jail cell. Because that's karma. You see how everything flipped? Now, when Diddy was free, she was on top. Yeah, he this, that, the third. That's that, the third. Now, when he free, well, not free, but now he's absolved from that particular situation. Now she locked up and she got to fight her own stuff. So it don't pay. It don't pay to be doing all that stuff out there, man, like that. You know, a lot of times you look at life and be like, you can't hide your blessing. Your blessing's coming. If it ain't hit you today, it'll probably hit you tomorrow. It'll probably hit you by midnight. But it's gonna come. You don't have to really be towards the demise of nobody else. Everybody looked at Cassie and the other girl like they were literal victims. Like, of course they are. Like, why would they not be? The guy's so rich. But after those 12 people got the chance to listen to 2 months of testimony, they literally chose that they was not victims. Now, how did that happen? How could these people listen to all this testimony, but they different from what we thinking at home? Because they saw it for what it really was. And they were willing participants in a situation that they probably thought about later and said, I should have never did that. You know what? That wasn't right. You know what? If I was a better thinking person like I am today, I would have never did that. And that's just called remorse. That's just called thinking. You matured a little bit now. So now you look at stuff like that as beneath you. You look at stuff like that as 8th grade. Like, I did that, I don't do that anymore. But that don't mean he get to go to jail because you figured out something you want to change. That don't mean he get to go sit in the prison cell because you found God or you ain't like that no more. That's not right. This is why Black Outrage is so important, because some of the stuff it's just not right. And then you would want the rightness for happening to you. You would want, if it was your kid, you would want rightness to happen. You wouldn't sit back and say, well, you kind of did date those girls. Who would have thought they would do you like this? But maybe you shouldn't have dated them. You'd be like, hell no. I want my son to get justice. I want him to make sure that at least if he's not going to testify, that we find out, was these girls lying? And from the testimony of those people, they was lying. And that's all it is. Pray in the name of Jesus' word is Jesus' name. He said, pray Sean Combs. No, only Jesus was a friend to him. Now, check that out. But you can understand why, because he was in that praying, boy. You can believe that. Diddy was in that praying. He's putting that time in. And then again, when you out there and you put in a lot of love and a lot of support to other people, it comes back to you. It comes back to you. This is the universe. So you're making people rich. See, even those people that was coming against Diddy, he fed them. He gave them food. He traveled with them. He bought them clothes. He paid their rent. He had them shoes. You know, he made it was safe environments. And nobody was trying to jump them or rob them when they showed up to the place. Here you go with a hip hop mogul, but he made it to the top. It's not even no gangsters trying to, he ain't even got no ops, as they would call it. You know what I'm saying? So you basically in a safe environment everywhere you meet him. When you go to the locations, you at the top flight hotels, you got travel, everything arranged for you. You know, who would leave that? Anybody who knew Diddy on a personal note and he was contacting you and making sure you was his friend, you would definitely be going. Now, would you be doing a freak offs? You probably would stop at that point, and that's why they lost the case. Because anybody with logical thought would say, hey, I like this shit, this is dope as hell. That's why I crossed the line. Because I'm not on that. You know what I'm saying? And then if you was, you'd be like that in your own life. You would be the one doing one. It'd be you doing it. You wouldn't be at somebody else's freak off and being like, hey, I'm here. You'd be like, I'm not ever coming over there. If y'all start that shit when I'm here, I'm calling the police. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, she might want to start now. I'm leaving. You know, you wouldn't put yourself in that predicament. So these women and these people had choices. And I think that that guy's going to finally ultimately put a case in against Cassie at some point if they allow it, which they probably won't, because they're going to look at it like they can gain more money with a suit against Diddy than money coming from Cassie paying that one man. And now the lawyers is all going to miss out all those other people. Because even if Diddy only got accused of 2 of those crimes, he still got convicted. So they could still come in there and say, hey, I had mental anguish dealing with him, or I wasn't able to find another job, or hey, after this, my parents don't talk to me no more. And everybody, okay, we got to pay everybody's situation down now. Okay, that's what you heard him, Diddy. You heard what happened. We got to use. The lady just said that, so we got to pay. So they have to find something to stop that. Diddy gonna have to try to make sure that that guy get his case pushed in there so that they can stop all of these other cases from coming down the pipeline on him. Because even if he goes in there and tries to, what's the word? If he goes in there and tries to appeal this, that's gonna take time. And if he's putting an appeal in, they ain't gonna even let him get out of jail fast. He gonna be sitting in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it's an appeal. Okay, yeah. Well, forget that out date now. You do 7 years. You sit like what the. So it's crazy, man. So that's why I say, watch who you around. Watch the people who you in cahoots with. If you're gonna be rocking with people, be careful with them because you just don't never know what kind of stuff they got going on, and if they actually rock with you. Because if they don't actually rock with you, it could actually be your demise, and that's what Diddy is at right now with this. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all share this video. We're giving you black. Sorry for that break, y'all. But yeah, so that's where Diddy actually crossed the line by trusting people he shouldn't have. Because I tell you, man, life is too short for that man. Now, he's 55 years old and he's sitting in a damn jail cell. And all of those people who chose to be around him to help all this shit go down, all of them free, sitting at home. And none of them get to go crazy. Yup. You said ankle monitor. Colorado Rush. Diddy need 24/7 surveillance and ankle monitor house arrest. No internet. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Prodigal you Finley said all cable runs through the internet. definitely ankle monitor. Yes, Colorado Kush said having him sit in the booth and sing his black hole of a heart out on a beat. That's true. Prodigal you Finley said he better be on what that Kardashian be on with DNA. Legally Trapping said mad about DV. I mean, yeah, man. Yup. Prodigal Gucci Man said he paid for DV 30 mil. Yeah, yup. Probably said I'm sure the other women lying just like they would be lying about R. Kelly. Yup. It's a money grab, man. And everybody ain't got good jobs. Everybody ain't rich. Everybody ain't got no whole bunch of money. So it's definitely a move. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, I got a rich dude. He don't know that it's a play on him. It's time for us to make a play, because if it was me making a movie about it, I would definitely have all of those people be in cahoots. After he got found guilty, that's when we'd cut to the scenes of all of those people having small meetings and hooking up and talking with each other about how they going to make sure he go down. How they hooking up with each other on the sidelines like, hey, we're going to be beating up in that one city or that one island. Make sure you got your camera. Hey, if he wants you to do it, just go ahead and do it. We're going to have him. I got my lawyer lining everything up. 2 more freak offs and we got him. I believe it'll be something like that. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, in my movie, that's how it would be. It really wasn't like that, because obviously he had the situation with beating the girl up in that place, and that was sad. That's really sad what he did. You know what I'm saying? Jumping her like that. And she should have left him at that point. But nobody is perfect. Nobody knows exactly what to do. Nobody got the booklet on life. So it's just you make mistakes. And the reality of it is that he was old enough to be respectable. He was older enough to respect him as humans, to respect him as people. Even if he was doing something like that where y'all was kinky and all that stuff, still could respect them as people. He could have left them all with a hell of money. He could have left them all with a lot of dollars so that they could have felt like they did it for a reason, and it was a come up afterwards. But leaving them on some bad terms, an argument, don't contact me no more, and now they seeing you on a video with new girlfriends, new everything, and you sitting up there having a dope ass life, and they sitting back like, I'm back in my life and shit. I ain't doing nothing. What the hell, man? And so that's what's gonna get people mad at you. You know what I'm saying? Thanks, Alfonso. I appreciate that, man. He said, "What's up from Chicago? Thanks for the content." Nathan said, "Bro, twerk off." Hey, Nathan. Soon as I see you, bro, it's gonna be mad issues. Colorado Kush said, Is this white power, but in a different shade?" Yup. Carly, what's up, Karaokos? I can't even say the name. Kiriakos. So Serena said, "That's how the hotel video came about. It's a Hollywood production." Yeah, yeah, but I would even say it to myself because I be thinking conspiracy theories sometimes. I'm saying, man, did he pay for all of this? He put all this up. He was like, and so these people don't come at me one day. Let me just put the money up. How much is it for a year in jail, a trial, and I use my girlfriends as the witnesses? And they was like, "Hey, give us about 46 million. Oh, you got to pay the lawyers. Give me 78 million. This ought to clear it. You make that in about 3 months anyway." And he, "Oh, hey, okay, cool." And then he just went on. Hey, your name ain't even right to be saying that, booty jeans. Your name is not, the word you said in your name should never be put together like that, my bro. Stop. He said, "Why is this case a scam reading books?" We just did a whole 50-minute diatribe on that, my bro. I think you're going to have to watch the recap. But just a simple understanding about it is that black people have been going through the same thing for centuries, and it's always the same conversation. The conversation is always sex. It always wraps back to sex. From the first time they used a Mann Act in the 1900s, early 1900s with Jack Johnson, on up they used it again with Charlie Chaplin in the 40s, and then they used it again with Chubby Checker, Chuck Berry. I'm sorry, Chuck Berry. They used it again on him and Chuck Berry later on in the 50s, 60s, and now they came about it with P Diddy. So it's been majorly 3 out of 4 times that they used it, and 3 out of 4 times was with a black person. And so it just seems like that's bad. You know what I'm saying? Especially somebody like Diddy, who raised such a large standard for himself to become a successful artist, successful businessman, successful in every level. Like, it's nothing about him that's not successful. And then you can see him just have a sweet demise to the ground. And it's just really sad. And I think that should be some black outrage about that. Excuse me, Prada said Colorado. Kush, he pissed them people off. Yup. There you go, bro. Yup. You need your podcast product because you already know what's popping out here on everything I love. And Killer Rob said, "Dudes ain't playing with their life for no humiliation and money." There you go, bro. That's why I said it's just a thought. I couldn't imagine somebody doing that, but it's just a thought. I make movies, so my brain have to try to think of things in a logical way because it's like sometimes it's just too crazy to even imagine. We had revered Diddy since I was in my 20s, and now to see him go down in my 50s, it's like, what the fuck just happened? But obviously, what happened is what he did. But then thinking sometimes I think to myself like, but the world changed since I was a kid because they got a thing like called LGBT, right? We all agree that that's around, like that exists. So then to myself, I'm thinking like, well, if Diddy got this certain kind of way he liked to be intimate with girls and all this stuff he liked, why don't they just call it LGBT Diddy? And just throw his name on there, and every other person that liked that kind of stuff, they could be a part and be represented. But that's where the black outrage comes. Because when it comes to a black man, now his sexual identity, his sexual prowess is criminalized. It's no LGBT name. It's nothing added. It's not no parade. It's nobody even from that community saying, "Hey, this ain't right." Everybody's okay with it. And when a Kardashian died, father did what he did and became a female. He got supported. He was getting awards. Not to say that did he need awards, because obviously he's domestically violent, he was physically abusive, he's mentally abusive, he uses money as a weapon against them females. But the idea of learning about somebody's sexual prowess like that, it's not like him sitting on some Oprah Winfrey show talking about it. We had to learn about it in a court of law given to us by reporters that obviously was sitting in there. So we wasn't able to him admit his own life or his own reality. And I think that that's where they cross the line. And that's where black outrage need to be spoken about. Because we all humans. And everybody got something about them that's private. Whether it's your religion, it could be your horoscope, it could be your sex, it could be if you gamble, drink. I don't care if you eat food 3 in the morning. It's just your personal existence. You exist on this earth. So whatever you do is your own life. You could like the trees, you could stare at the clouds, you could like to climb walls or bushes or be in the mountains. All this stuff is legal and it's okay. But obviously he was being disrespectful to those women, and that's why this came down the pipeline against him. But those people was deciding, not my saying, the court, the judge, the jury, they were deciding to be there every single day. They were deciding to wake up and stay around. They were deciding that when things got bad, they came back. Now, they might say it was my job. They might say it was because I wanted to succeed. They might say 1,000 things. But we all know that when you 18 or 21 and over, you're making grown people decisions. And so it's just that simple. It's like nobody get to control a person at a certain age. Even if you do try to control a person, it's actually illegal. It's kidnapping, it's false imprisonment, it's laws where you don't get to control another human. It don't matter who, if they could be your family member, they could be trying to hurt themselves, and you have to prove that they try to hurt themselves or you're committing a crime, even if it's your family member. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's doing what they want to do, and it's that simple. You know, it's hard to walk away from somebody with $1 billion who flying you all over the world and you ain't got to spend $3. Plus they paying your rent. It's hard to walk away from that. So we understand what they went through, but still you had a decision to make. So now he's gonna bite the bullet for what he did. He's gonna go down. He's gonna spend time in jail. He's gonna have messed up afternoons. He's not gonna see his kids grow up. He's not gonna have nice afternoons until that everything is cleared out, however long that is. Because you know when they let you out, they put you on parole, they put you on ankle monitor. It's not over fast. But those people who brought him down, they still might have something to answer to as well. However, we don't know. We nobody knows the future. Nobody knows how it's gonna play out. We all thought Diddy was gonna get found mad guilty because they gave R. Kelly a 30 ball. So we really did believe that he was gonna go down. You know what I'm saying? But then you see how it came down. The people said only 2 charges, and that was the charges for the guys being flown in town, which is like light compared to what they was charging them with. And now are those females gonna get caught up? I doubt it, because if they gave Diddy a light charge, what they gonna charge them women with? Over freaky? What was it, a law called over freaky? Is it what they gonna say? You wanted too much? Like, what is the law? It's not gonna be a law for a female wanting to be with dudes. Come on, it's not gonna be a law for a girl who want to be with multiple dudes. It's not even a law. You know. And then they wasn't actually prostituting because they was with Diddy in a relationship. So you can't even say that girls was prostituting. They was with him, and like, this is my boyfriend. We choosing to do this type of sex. So that's why I say there should be more respect for him as a person who was doing that type of level, not the fact that he was beating a girl up and nothing like that, because we all saw that that's not right. That's not cool. Prada say he better go after all them people who came up with them Dr. Bentley's about him straight up. He said, I think he gets drunk too happy when he thinks that people on drugs. He should be doing well influenced to get and do a good thing. They should have checked Cassie bank accounts and see if they was used to bringing him down. Yeah, you never know. Colorado Kush, that Drink Champs podcast wasn't a good look either. Yeah, it made him look real sus. It did. But I just saw what's his name talk about it. What's his name? Nori, and he said that it was one of his homies on there. I kept saying Poppy, he Dominican or something like that. So when Diddy came, he started hearing that statement the dude was saying, hey, Poppy, hey. So he started talking like that. And when he was talking to old boy, that Fab, Nori said that he was talking about the drink, because he said, man, we ain't partying together no more. But he wasn't talking about literal parties. He was talking about the drink, because he had the op drink. You know, he was selling Ciroc at that time. So what's his name had a different drink in his hand. So that's what he was referring to. So it's just like a conversation that was amongst the 4 or 5 people in that room, and they understood the context. But we watching it from a video, and it went down. It's like, what the fuck is Diddy talking like that for? You don't party with me no more, daddy. What's up, daddy? And we like, hold on, you saying daddy different. But he really just referencing because he heard somebody at that moment at that door. The guy who was opening the door for him, that's how he talked. He was Dominican. That's what Nori said. So is that really what happened? That's what he's saying. Obviously, we saw what Diddy was saying. And see, it's moments like that again. Why? It's because everybody making these accusations or thoughts or thinking that this guy's like that, then all of a sudden he got to go to jail. What the fuck? So that means if everybody start thinking some shit about me or you, we got to go to jail behind their fucking thoughts. Who the fuck cares if this nigga gay or not? Ain't that his life? Ain't that his business? How do we get to pay our rent about that if he going to write a book? There's no reason to even care. But the fact that so many people was talking about that, now he locked up. and those girls saw his demise. You got Jack White, you got Gene Deal, you got so many people, and then you got all those artists he was with that they said he stole the money from them. So it's almost like he was like, man, just lock me up real quick, man, so these people can get on with their life, man. And everybody feel like I went down and I had to face the music. Okay, I did it. Okay, now let me out this shit. I'm going home. You know what I'm saying? Because now everybody ain't gonna never. He went down about time, about time. You know what I'm saying? So it's really crazy how that went, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump up off here because I gotta get into the next mission. I appreciate y'all watching, liking, subscribing. Hey, y'all the best out there, man. Continue to watch on, and then watch one of the videos I'm gonna have at the top or the bottom as soon as this is over, and then we're gonna continue this conversation later on, man. And I appreciate y'all. Thank you to all them commenters in there, man. Y'all the best, boy. Y'all keep me going. Y'all keep me going. Them commentators, baby. Let's go. Appreciate y'all, man. And y'all stay cool. All right, today is that day. Peace.